so many good stories here, but one of the great things about this area and the sort of the bigger landscape is that it's a living landscape. People live here. There's people's houses, people who've grown up here, their family history is rooted in the place. And so the stories that we tell, it's not just about being factually correct or historically accurate, whatever that might be. It's all about understanding and being sympathetic to the lived experience of the people who encounter this place on a daily basis now and in the past. You know, this is very dynamic, it's a living landscape.
So for the Museum of Iron, that building itself, we are going to look into a little bit, because we know that that's getting redone anyway.
Yeah.
But from Museomix, we can go in there and have a look at a few of the areas that are in there. But what kind of things are you looking at? Where's the history with that one?
Right, well, the Museum of Iron is based in the Great Warehouse. And you can see, got a date at the top from the 1840s. We just had the clock tower beautifully restored. And it was a warehouse effectively for the Coalbrookdale Company. And we think by the 1840s and 1850s, they were producing some of the best decorative castings that you could get, and they put a whole load of beautiful objects into the Great Exhibition of 1851. So of course, when you think about them at that time, they were really starting to carve a name out for themselves as decorative casters and decorative ironwork. But the museum itself tells the story not just of the kind of scientific and the technological processes, but also of the people who were involved. So that's the Derby family and other key names of people who were involved, and also the story of the bridge and how the bridge was built. One of the themes that really begins to tie in all the different sites as they run down the gorge is the theme of transport. All of the industries here, be it clay, limestone, coal or iron, all involve big, heavy, lumpy items. And these had to be moved around the landscape. They had to be moved from where they were mined to where they were processed, and then had to be moved away down to the markets. So we've got a long history of railways in the area. It dates right the way back to about 1605, but certainly by the early 1700s and the mid-1700s, there was a really extensive early horse-drawn railway network that connected the collieries and the processing sites with the routes to market. And I think that's a theme that can really be explored in a very dynamic way, in a way that perhaps isn't done at the moment within the Museum of Iron. There's a number of firsts as well that took place here that would be really interesting to explore within a national context, and also to interpret in a far more holistic way. The first known cast iron railway wheels, flanged wheels, were cast here in the late 1720s, and by 1767 the Coalbrookdale Company were beginning to cast iron plates to cover the previously wooden rails, and that's the first time we get a record of people using metal, using iron to cover wooden rails. And that's something that developed later on into the 19th century as the railways that we still have to this day. There's a lot of different ways of telling the story that we can introduce there. Right. Perhaps more interactive, perhaps more engaging, perhaps slightly more accessible, and making use of new technologies where we can. And I think another thing to sort of get in there is that we want to make use of the building itself. Yeah. It's very easy to look at an old building and thinking, oh, we've got to repurpose an old building, and it's not ideal, it's not exactly how we want it. Actually, the structure itself is one of our biggest assets. Yeah. So it's about really trying to make use of that in the way that we tell the story. The views that you can get out from the building, and also the views when you're elsewhere in the landscape looking in at it.